Now to number 2. This is the third band of the 3 Japanese bands that I discovered on your channel, who I said would make my top 10. And this is Ninginisu. I will try and pronounce the album in a second.
Oh, that's going to be good.
But I thought they're tremendous, and it took a while to track down something, because we found a couple, didn't we, about the new ones, and then went on to Google Play, and they've got quite a lot on there. So I went a bit mad, got 6-7 albums of theirs, and listened to all of them. And there's one, I mean, I could have put all 6 in this top 10 easily, but there was one that I loved from start to finish. I didn't think there was a single bad idea on it, and that is Kaden Soshiti She to Eros. I can't remember what year it's from, but that one from start to finish was just the complete Ninginisu experience. Every idea was amazing, catchy, great riffs. I would say great vocals as well. I mean, I don't think they're tremendous singers, but what they do has got so much character that it just fits it perfectly. And that's another interesting, is like talent over character. You know, that's an interesting thing about singers. And it's so difficult to, once you press play, it's very difficult to stop, because you think this next one's going to be great, and it's very rare to get an album that you like all the way through. And I listened to the other Ninginisu albums, and you might go on to yeah, it's alright, or oh, not a big fan of this one, or like 2/3 of it, but that one was just it's just tremendous all the way through. And I messaged you, didn't I? I said you got to listen to this album.
Yeah,
it's just amazing from start to finish.
And Ninginisu is one of those bands that, from coming from nowhere, in the last 12 months, has got to that position where I have a total soft spot for them. So if they could put out a bad song next, then I'd still probably quite like it. You know, I've kind of I've got this. They've immediately dropped into that thing where, oh, but it's Ninginisu. You know, I like it, even the stuff I don't really like. I like it. You know, they've immediately got themselves into that position somehow, and past my cynical kind of shields. They've just gone right through. And yeah, I mean, Ninginisu were one of the first bands I mentioned, because it's just they had this impact that I keep going on about, that you just go.
And what is great about Ninginisu is they've got a huge back catalogue. So you think, oh, want a bit more of that? Oh, here's a shed load of
you discover a band with a stack of albums.
Because you can't like every band from the beginning, can you? Yeah. Some of them you do come in like halfway through, or fairly late.
Yeah, and they have no exposure in.
Because I remember
in the West.
That's like
I'll say none. They were on Ozfest.
Are they? Yeah. But I remember getting into Sabotage on Hall of the Mountain King, and it was like, ooh, they've done 4 albums beforehand.
Right, yeah.
And then you know, searching Piccadilly Records, I think I got 2 of their albums from there back in the day. But yeah, Ninginisu, what a band. And the good thing is, even if they don't do anything for 5 years, I still got about 10 years of their back catalogue still to mine. So imagine that one will probably keep me going for quite a while. This Kaden Soshiti She to Eros, whatever that means.
Yeah, if anyone wants to write, anyone who knows how to pronounce that wants to write it phonetically in the comments, that would be quite handy. Okay, so number 1. This genuinely is my number 1. This is my favourite album of the year, and this could be the next 20 minutes if you don't stop me.
I'll take a drink. I'll crack on.
It's an album called The Room by a band called band's a bit too small a word, but by an ensemble called Ostura. So it's probably, I don't know, some people are just going, who? What are you talking about? This album by Ostura was sent to me to review by somebody who has a review website, and he said, you quite like this stuff, have a listen to this. And they sent me this album in fantastic lossless quality, FLAC files, I think it was, or whatever it was, but, you know, fantastic lossless format. And it is such an amazingly finely crafted thing that it's possibly the and I'm going to get all the hyperbole is going to come out now, but it is possibly the most finely crafted thing I've ever heard. And bear in mind, I might go back to like Yes in the 70s. It's such an unbelievable thing, this Ostura. It's basically it's prog metal, but that's a bit too small. It's too small a genre to try and fit them into. But let's go for prog metal. If you've got I think I said this in the when I reviewed it. There's a full review of the album on my channel. It's very long, and I just talk like this for like 45 minutes. If you've got a prog bone in your body, a prog metal bone in your body, you just like amazingly orchestrated and crafted things, go and find The Room by Ostura. I've been listening to this album since February, whenever it was I got it, and the parts of it that I'm very familiar with all of it, let's face it now, but you know, like some parts you know like the back of your hand after a while. They still have the power for me to go, oh, this is such a great section. I don't want to say bit or song, because the whole thing's one story, and there's all separate songs, but it's a lot, and there's different performers on it and things. And the bits I know, like the back of my hand, I go, oh, it's like, oh, this is such a great bit. But surprisingly, 10 months later, I'm still hearing things that my brain skipped over before or whatever, but I'm still finding stuff in it to listen to. The performances on this, the musical performances are unbelievable. It's got the Prague Philharmonic Orchestra, or however it's said, on it. It's got these amazing musicians. It's got Thomas Lang, the drummer, who does an amazing job. He's not in Ostura. Ostura's drummer couldn't do the album for some reason. I don't know. He's still there and everything, but Thomas Lang filled in, does an amazing job. But in the vocal department, they got Michael Mills from Towhider, who has like a 17-octave voice or whatever. You know, this guy has an unbelievable voice. He doesn't hold back. He gives it the full Monty. But the people who are, you know, part of Ostura, the vocal performances, oh crikey, of course, I've gone slightly blank, but the lady's voice on this makes you want to burst into tears. It's just so pitch perfect, and all the vocal performances. I cannot say enough about The Room by Ostura. It's the album that I will always compare albums like this to from now on. And bear in mind, I've got all of the Arian albums. I love all of the Arian albums, all of those great ensemble pieces that Arian Lucassen has put together. And this has somehow, and I love those albums, and this has somehow kind of elbowed its way in front of them. And Arian Lucassen actually plays a solo on one of their songs, you know, and the comparisons are quite strong between the Arian albums and this, without a doubt. But there's just something about it. They're from Lebanon, and there's just something about it. It's an amazing thing, and it's gone to that position where the next Arian album comes out, I will be comparing it to The Room. Which is an amazing, you know,
that's interesting.
It's gone right into that slot where this is the benchmark. So, have I said enough? I'm literally I'm starting to sweat and heat up. I mean, you know, it is just something else. So if you like prog metal, if you like stuff with orchestras in, if you like stuff that's complicated and goes through different passages and phrases and arrangements and has all different, you know, different vocalists on and a story, and if you like any of that, you have to like all of that. If you like any of it, check out this album, because it is just something else. And whenever I've seen comments by people who have discovered it, that it's the same thing. It's oh my god. You know, it's literally like, good grief, where's this come from? You know, it's come from Lebanon, It's just the guy who made the album invited me out for a pint about a month ago or so. He was in London, but I don't live anywhere near London, so I just couldn't go. And I was so gutted. I wanted to go and just like, I don't know, sort of fanboy him, I suppose. just kind of go, oh, it's so great.
That's
so
probably
great.
what he wanted. Just
Yeah, maybe that's why I invited
tell
him.
me how great I am.
This guy will come and tell me how great I
Yeah.
am. I mean, it was so great that when I was reviewing the album, I said, please, can I just play the triangle? If you do another album, can I just be on it in some way? Just turn up and go ding at the right point, and just please let me be a part of this thing, because it is just, I quite like it.
Yeah, how do I follow that?
So Astura,
I mean,
The Room.
I've not heard it yet, as I should do after that.
It's just,
Did you think that
one listen, you'll be like, oh, it's a lot, that. You know.
think that the likes of Dream Theater are now paling in comparison to stuff like that and Aryan, or do you think this?
I think they're different animals.
Yeah.
Because Dream Theater are all about difficult time signatures and being clever, which is not a bad thing. You can be too clever and it stops being listenable, but Dream Theater have always managed to stay on the right side of that, in my opinion. You know, you listen like Awake, the album, you know, it's as technical as a technical thing, but it's listenable, isn't it? It's got nice melodies, whereas you get some stuff that's too technical. Whereas the Aryan stuff and the Asura stuff, there's lots of technicality in there, and sometimes you're listening to it and you just think, how are people making this music? How does it even work? I can't, you know, you kind of like that, trying to pick out all the bits. But that's not just what they're about, the Aryan stuff, because I know you're not like a super Aryan fan and everything, but the Aryan stuff and the Asura stuff, it's about creating their stories first and foremost. You know, the album is a concept album. The closest Dream Theater came was Scenes from a Memory, and as far as I'm concerned, they would just ignore the astonishing ever existed. But where it's just like, you know, it's a story, and I loved Scenes from a Memory. That's my favourite Dream Theater album, maybe because it has it follows that kind of thing. But they're about creating, the Aryan stuff and the Astura thing are about creating an atmosphere and the narrative and all of that sort of thing. Whereas Dream Theater are a different animal. You know, they're mostly about being really clever kind of thing, and we'll stick a melody in to make it listenable. I do like Dream Theater, don't get me wrong, but they're not. I don't think they're quite the same thing. And I don't listen to a lot of that genre. That's the other thing. I love Aryan, and I quite like Astura's The Room. I don't know if you've picked that up, but I don't go and seek out all bands that do it, because I'm sure there's bands out there doing great stuff like that, but I don't seek it out because they're quite. I think you can listen to it once and you're not going to get it, and you listen to it twice and you still haven't got it. You know, there has to be enough on that first listen to make you come back the second time, but it's not until listen 5 that it all starts to make sense even, I think. So I think if I'd listened to a lot of that stuff all of the time, I think it would diminish the enjoyment I got from it, because it would almost be, you'd be overwhelmed a little and it would go, okay. I don't know, I might be just talking out my hat now, but that's how I feel about it. But so this is not a Dream Theater type album, though some of the musicality on it is just off the chart. At times it is just utterly beautiful. Usually when Yumna, I think the lady's name is singing, her voice just, like I say, makes me want to burst into tears sometimes. Not literally, but you know what I mean. You just go, oh good grief, that she just hits certain notes, and you go, God blimey, and then all the other vocal things, and so sometimes it's beautiful, and sometimes it's metal, and sometimes it's technical, and sometimes it's orchestral, and sometimes it's 10 other different things, but it all fits together, and it's all interwoven. And I'm sure I must have said this in just how they've got all of these elements and made them all work without doing that thing where you're playing one thing and you stop and then you go off in another direction. It doesn't do that. It just flows into the next thing, and it's my album of the year, but I can't remember an album that's been this good that I did not see coming. ever. You know,
It's interesting.
Out of nowhere. It's just bloody hell. You know, I'm just bowled over by it. And 10 months later, I'm still like this about it. Listen to me, I'll stop now. But yeah, as sure as the room is all right.
I don't follow that.
Your go.
Yeah.
What was yours like?
I think mine were ones listen to it for very different reasons. Because it's such.
Is that your get out?
It's such a good time, and it's that chorus in one of their videos. I passed the light right on through the night. That's just, I still can't get out of my head. Months later, that's and the album is The Last Emperor by Judicator.
Yeah, we did the Judicator only about a month ago.
Yeah,
but you knew it already, I think. Did you?
Yeah, I got the album,
Yeah.
and I thought this is really good. It's very much one toe in the Blind Guardian camp, but I think it's a bit more than that.
I love Blind
And
Guardian.
I remember listening to it for the first time and going, this is really, really enjoyable, and it suddenly ended. I thought, that was quick. I've only been listening for 20 minutes. I've been listening to about 45 minutes or something like that. It's just gone. The time just goes when I listen to it. It's got so many great melodies, so many great riffs in it. And every time I came back to it, there's this trio of songs right in the middle of it. It's like the spine of the album, I like to call it. They just kept me coming back to it. And the first one of this three songs is the Queen of All Cities, and it's about 9 minutes long, and it's that point you realise you're listening to something, not just 4-minute power metal songs. You're listening to something a little bit more, something that's a lot more creative than that, and a lot more depth and what's the word I'm looking for, a lot more credibility to it. And then that one followed by Spiritual Treason, and the song Antioch that followed it. It's about 15 minutes, 20 minutes of just really good quality songwriting. And there's only 8 songs overall, but it really is quality over quantity, and it just keeps me coming back. That, the Queen of All Cities, 10-minute masterpiece, 9-10-minute masterpiece.
And that's from a band that's
and that came out from virtually
not super famous.
Yeah.
You know, Judicator. I'd never heard of them until you mentioned them when
and
it was a month
that
ago.
was a stumble upon, because I like Helium Prime and Dire Peril, and the singer for Dire Peril is in Judicator, so I just Judicator is in that as well. Click on that, and it's just that album that just gets you, you know, at the right time. And I was just in the mood for some sing-along power metal, but with a lot more depth to it.
Right.
And I still listen to it a hell of a lot.
Well, you know, you think of the 9 other things that you've mentioned, and for this to be number 1, it's got to be something, hasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I listen to a lot. I mean, the singer's in a few other bands, but this one just got me, you know, at the right time, the right melodies, the right songs. It was fantastic, yeah. And I can't speak any more highly of it.
Okay then.
That wasn't exactly your description of the room, was it?
No, I'm utter fanboy of Ostura now. I'm lost now. I've got no perspective.
It sounds like a game changer. You discovered a game changer.
Yeah, I've got no perspective on it whatsoever. I'm just lost my mind over it. In a really good way.
That'd be interesting. I'll do a video on game-changing albums that you change your perspective.
Things that changed my musical life. There are a couple.
The first Angelo
I know what
Gosso,
the first one would be.
The first Angelo Gosso album changed me. I think in Arch Enemy.
I know which album set me off listening to music.
Which one?
When I was about 7 years old, and it was, I think the album was already out, but I was about 7 when I actually heard it, and that was Close to the Edge by Yes. and that was the album. Bear in mind, the first song in it is 18 minutes long, I think, or something. It was one side of the album, because we're talking about vinyl here, of course. When I was 7, it was still the 70s. And I can't be sure I was 7, but, you know, round about that age. And that was the first thing, because up to then you just heard whatever was on the radio or whatever. And I heard Close to the Edge by Yes, because my friend's father had Yes albums, and he played them. And I'm pretty sure that was the first awakening that music was not Alvin Stardust singing my Cuckoo on the radio. There's a blast. That's from my childhood. But you know, whatever the radio was playing. Okay, Pop Pickers, here's the latest one from, you know, and it really was like that. And I heard this thing of Close to the Edge, and literally opened a door in my mind to, oh my God, music is not what I've had so far, kind of thing. So at a very early age, I mean, Close to the Edge by Yes is a heck of a listen. It's not like you don't just casually go, oh, I think I'll have a listen to this and get into it, because like the first track's like 18 minutes. But that was just a seminal album. Just sent me off and into music, with some kind of serious intent kind of thing. Yeah, I can remember that.
Mine was Number of the Beast.
Really?
I'm going to put it on my mum. Born off my mate in 82.
80?
82.
Was it as late as 82? Was it? Yeah. I thought it was earlier than that.
And putting it on my mum's.
I'm older than Paz.
My parents' stereo. And
can't tell.
Invaders came on. I thought, and that was it. I was sold on Invaders. Who ever thought that?
Invaders fighting.
I hadn't really heard anything of that speed and energy up to that point. You hear like the nearest came to it was probably Ace of Spades by Motorhead, but I wasn't really into it at that point. I heard Run to the Hills on. It was big on Top of the Pops or whatever it was, but to actually get an album, stick it on and listen to it rather than just being candy on the telly was Number of the Beast. So Invaders just made an instant impression,
and that's it. And something just goes switch.
It was, yeah,
doesn't it, in your head, and from then on things are not the same. No. Because you've changed. It's changed you as a person, kind of thing, and then you start listening to what's on the radio and thinking, this isn't. There's more. There's more than this.
Even now, I listen to a lot of pop, and there's no instrumentation in it whatsoever. It just seems to be a beat and a bass line, and that's it.
And a catchy line sung 100 times. That
maybe it's because who we are. But
I'm prejudiced without a doubt against pop music, and some songs I like, but not many. And they never last. Pop music in the 80s, some of that's stayed with me. Ultravox, I really liked Ultravox, and it stayed with me. But from almost a nostalgia way, I hear it and I go, "Ooh, Love's a Great Adventure" by Ultravox. So I remember this from being a teenager, and I like it. So, but then I guess in the 80s, bands were still bands. Pop bands were still bands.
Yeah, right,
a lot of them.
Manufactured artists.
Adam and the Ants were a band. They were manufactured and they had all the image and all of that, but they were a band kind of thing. Whereas now I think it's just really gone down the let's create a thing to sell this thing in this way, but that's a different conversation, isn't it? So I think this video is probably
anyway,
probably long enough.
Top 10, well done, Judicator.
So Judicator,
more again next year, please.
And Ostura, if you can just put out one of those albums every 3 months, that would be great. Though I'm not sure my heart could take it, to be honest. And that's the other thing. I know that I'm not going to... Ostura are not going to put out another album for a while, because that must cost a load of money and take them forever to make. So you just know you're not... you've got to... I've got to treasure it because I'm not going to get... Maybe we won't get another... Maybe they haven't sold enough and we'll never get to make another. That's the other thing that happened, in the music industry. And Judicator, did they hit the sweet spot and they'll never be as good again, or is it the next album might be fantastic? You just don't know.
I think there's a lot of potential in Judicator. I think there's a lot more to come.
Yeah, I haven't heard the album. I'm just you just don't. sometimes
But for me,
you've got to really enjoy
it's a sweet spot
what
for
you've
me.
got now, kind of thing.
Yeah. I might listen to it on the way back to Earth.
I think we should stop. I doubt if anyone even got this far. People probably just fast forwarded, find out what number 1 was.
I've not gone through my disappointments, but I'll leave it there because
disappointments of
we're all in
2018.
good mood.
Yeah, let's not. Yeah, send on a downer.
Powerwolf. Let's sound like Sabaton.
Yeah, it's interesting you said Powerwolf. Oh, this is never going to end. My son, who really likes Powerwolf, just hated the
new one.
Hated the new one.
Yeah.
He just said it's just meh.
Yeah, and it's not a bad album, but what we expect from Powerwolf, I thought it was.
I haven't heard it because my son was just so. Meh.
It sounds too much like.
Don't bother.
Sabaton. I mean, it sounds like Powerwolf. There's better examples of Powerwolf in their back catalogue, and I love Powerwolf. Anyway,
so there you go. There's a downer.
That'll do it. That'll do for the
So,
disappointment.
I expect everyone who's got this far to start listing their favourite things of the year in the comments, and
let's find out some new stuff.
And maybe find some new stuff that I just didn't even know about. So, because that's the thing. There's 8 million bands out there, you know, and from every corner of the world. Though the world is a sphere. But anyway.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on before the flat earthers start writing in. Oh no, they can't write. Bye.